Axel Rudakubana is back in the headlines, and it does say that he has been given back his privileges. So when I was having a look through some stories today, it came up. The title was "Depraved Southport Killer Gets TV Perks Back Despite Fears He'll Kill Someone." So that despicable specimen has now got back his TV and DVD player. Now, he lost all access to this, and he was put on the basic regime in May after an attacking the prison officers with boiling water. Now, it does say allegedly, and there is an ongoing investigation, but he's down the block under supervision, so nobody can get a hold of him, and there's cameras everywhere. So it says allegedly, which they always have to do when there's an investigation, but it's obviously he'd done it, and he's been on basic ever since. Now, basic is when he loses all his privileges, everything that he had inside of his pad. Now he's been granted it back, so it does say now he's been granted access to a Freeview TV with around 25 channels, a DVD player, more canteen cash, and extra time out of his cell, including the use of the gym, library, and workshops. But the gym will be on the unit that he is on. They will have a little room at the end, which will have a few little bits in, namely a rowing machine, maybe a couple of little bits of weights. He'll have a library, and the library will just be a few books scattered about one of the rooms. He'll not have access to a proper library, and it does say workshops. He will not be going to workshops, because that's where other prisoners will be, and that's where he will become under attack from the other prisoners. Now, it is saying that the screws, the prison officers, have give him these novelties back so as not to cause any trouble. They're trying to sweeten him up, and they're giving him these access to all these other luxuries back, which is not the case. When you know the prison system and you know how it works, he was put on the basic regime. So the basic regime only lasts so long, and once you behave yourself and you can show that you can behave, you will then get put back up onto standard, which means you have extra cash to spend on your canteen to get all these extra luxuries, which aren't very big luxuries, but like it said in a few articles a few months back, that he was eating Snickers, Kit Kats, and Maltesers and the sort, and it was saying he shouldn't be allowed access to luxuries such as this. But the basic regime, like I said, it's prison policy to put him back up to standard. It's not the screws bribing him to behave. The screws will not want him to have anything, especially after when he's attacked them. And he's also made threats of doing further attacks. Now, when it's splashed about in the local press, and the press come up with their own ideas, and they say that the prison officers are doing it to bribe him. That is absolute rubbish. Like I've said, you get put back on standard when you behave yourself. But the only good thing to come out of this is that he's spending more time out of his cell, where he will come into contact with other prisoners at some point. And he will get that prison justice, what I've spoke about so much on this channel, that he will get it at some point. Now, the cleaners down the block in the segregation unit are mostly bacons. They get picked to be cleaners down the block for one reason only, because they know that the bacons will not attack anybody. But believe you me, bacons have attacked other prisoners, and a lot of the murders I've covered in high security prisons have actually been on the bacon wings. And what I mean by bacon is a VP. They're called VPs in prisons, but they are nonces. The nonces work down the block as orderlies. And like I've said, one of these might think to themselves, right, I've got a chance to make a name for myself on the bacon wings for the one that got a hold of him. And sometimes these bacons that are down the block, or there is different types of bacons on the bacon wings, believe it or not. There's ones that have done it to adults, there's the ones that's done it to little ones, and it's the ones who are deadheads that have went down there for their own protection. So he will be mixing, or he will be coming into contact with these types of prisoners down the block. So also, who was down the block there? Who was in the segregation unit with him? Salman Abedi, the Manchester Arena bomber. He is down there for attacking screws up in Frankland Prison. And you know what's going to be coming next? These two are going to be putting complaints in saying that they're not allowed access or they're not allowed contact with other prisoners. And these two, because they're both like-minded individuals, they have both ended and harmed little ones. So sooner or later, they'll be allowed to mix with each other. And obviously, what do you think is going to happen with these two types of individuals who have attacked prison officers and they have attacked little ones? And they've both got the same sick ideology. So you can come to your own conclusion on that. But even at the minute, they'll be kept segregated. But even down the segregation unit, you can shout out the window and communicate like that, which these will be doing. But like I said, when it says he's now been granted access to a Freeview TV with around 25 channels, the Freeview TVs are what everybody gets, every prisoner gets them. And it says 25 channels, but there's sometimes around about 10 to 15 channels, the likes of D-Max and different things that are always on repeat. So don't be thinking it's a luxury, because these type of channels are the shittest ones you can get on Freeview, and they are repeated constantly. But I thought I would bring this to your attention because, like I've said, it's flagging up again as headline news. Probably not on the mainstream media, because it never does, but it's coming up in all these news articles, and it's coming up saying that the screws are bribing him, which is not the case. It's prison policy to go through the different stages of basic, standard, and enhanced. That'll be the next thing. If he behaves himself for another 2 months, he'll be on enhanced status, where he will be getting a lot extra money to spend on canteen. And you do also get the likes of one-off spends, so you can spend up to £500 once a year on designer gear if you want. It depends on which prison you're in, because you can get either stuff sent in, or you can buy it from different sport shops, and that's what happens when you're an enhanced prisoner. But that's a different story for another time. But what I will do is keep you updated on exactly what is happening with this horrible specimen, and whether or not, when he gets his prison justice, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because it will be happening. But I will keep you updated, people, and I am just about to do another story on Lucy Connolly, because she's just been released from prison, and the headlines that's going around about her are absolutely despicable and outrageous. But that one will be getting uploaded later on today. So keep an eye out, people. Have a good day, enjoy your weekend, and stay safe.